Hey there, welcome to Pepper Geek. In today's video, we're experimenting with different methods of germinating pepper seeds. So this has been a long time coming. I've always wanted to pit different methods of germination against one another and see which of them works best. So over the last month or so, I've been sprouting seeds using these different methods, and finally the results are in. Before I get into it, if you want to use our tried and true method of germination, we do have a video about that up here, and I'll also leave a link to our article on the same topic down below. Okay, so what were the parameters for this germination test? I basically had 4 different groups. First was our control group, where there was no soaking and no heating, just planting the seeds in soil. The first variable group was soaking the seeds for 12 hours in black tea before planting and not heating. The next group of seeds was not soaked but was provided heat. And the final variable group was both soaked and provided heat during germination. As for heat, the temperature was set to around 82 degrees Fahrenheit versus the non-heated seeds, which were around 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Now the soaking was done with just black tea brought to room temperature, soaked for 12 hours overnight before planting in soil. I believe that as soon as you start soaking a seed, that should really be considered the planting time, because that moisture is really going to initiate germination. So I'm factoring that into all of the soaked seeds, basically adding a half a day onto the days to germination for those seeds. Also, when I was going through this experiment, every time I found a seed that had germinated, I marked it as germinated and removed it from the soil to avoid double counting. Now, as for the types of seeds, I used 3 different pepper varieties. One was a fresh bell pepper variety, basically brand new seeds just purchased from the store. The next was a capsicum baccatum variety called the rainforest chili. These seeds were about a year old. And lastly, I had some naga seeds that are about 3 years old, coming from the capsicum chinense species. So we have 3 different species, 3 different ages, all of which are going through the same process. Now, before I get to the results, I really want to know what you think is going to work out best. So do you think the non-heated, non-soaked seeds are going to perform best? Or do you think the soaked and heated seeds are going to perform best? Leave a comment now before we get to the results. Okay, so let's start with the overall results. The best category overall for days to germination was the non-soaked and heated seeds. We had 18 seeds sprout overall with an average time to sprout of only 7.89 days. The worst category for time to sprout was actually the soaked and non-heated seeds with an average time to germinate of 15.16 days. That's almost 8 full days later than the best category. However, that same category that took the longest to sprout actually had the highest number of seeds sprouted at 19 versus the next best at 18. And our control group actually had the worst results when it came to number of seeds germinated at just 13. The most surprising thing here for me is that the soaked seeds that were also heated took longer to germinate than those that were not soaked. So based on these overall averages, my recommendation would be just to plant your seeds directly in your soil and provide heat. Somewhere between 80 and 90 degrees Fahrenheit is usually what we recommend. But now I want to get a little bit more specific and look at this data from a few different angles. First, let's look at the heated seeds versus all of the non-heated seeds. No big surprises here. The heated group did much better than the non-heated group. Heated seeds took an average of 9.21 days to sprout, compared to the non-heated seeds, which took an average of 13.67 days to sprout, more than 4 full days longer. Heating also resulted in more overall sprouts at 36 compared to 32 for the non-heated seed group. So it goes without saying, if you want the quickest germination, like we've always recommended, a seed heating mat is going to do wonders. Next, let's look at the soaked seeds versus the non-soaked seed groups. Overall, the soaked seeds took longer to sprout, with an average of 13.15 days. The non-soaked seeds sprouted faster, taking an average of 9.71 days. However, overall, we did have more sprouts from the soaking groups at 37 total sprouts versus the non-soaked groups coming in at 31. So if it's overall reliability of germination that you're worried about rather than the speed at which the seeds germinate, that could be a reason to try soaking. Now these results are definitely skewed by the capsicum chinense species seeds that were planted. They took a lot longer to sprout, and the soaked seeds in particular took much longer than the others in the test. So let's look at the oldest seeds that were planted, those capsicum chinense naga seeds. First of all, none of the control seeds sprouted. 0. Total goose egg. None of them came up, and I planted quite a few seeds. Perhaps even more interesting is that many of the soaked and non-heated seeds actually sprouted. In fact, this group had the largest number of sprouted seeds at 7, compared to 5 for the soaked and heated seeds, and just 3 for the non-soaked and heated seeds. However, the soaked and non-heated seeds came up much later than the heated seeds, taking an average of almost 22 days to sprout, compared to 18.6 days for the soaked and heated seeds, and just 12.1 days for the non-soaked and heated seeds. So perhaps if your seeds are older, 3, 4, 5 years old, and they come from the Capsicum chinense species, then maybe you want to consider soaking your seeds for better overall germination rates. However, heating does seem to still bring about faster germination, but if you want more of your seeds to sprout, it seems like soaking may be the way to go. But now if we compare that to our freshest seeds, the bell pepper seeds, the clear winner was no soaking and adding heat. Heat was clearly the most important factor when it comes to germination speed, but again, if you look at the non-heated seeds for these bell peppers, the non-soaked, non-heated seeds actually came up faster. So to me, based on the data, the clear winner here is the non-soaked and heated pepper seeds. That's the way we've always done it, and frankly, it's the easiest way to go about planting pepper seeds. You don't have to worry about soaking your seeds, which can take up additional time, resources, and potentially lead to mix-ups with your pepper seeds. The only caveat is maybe if you have really old pepper seeds that you've been struggling to germinate, consider soaking maybe half of them and not soaking the other half, just to give yourself a decent chance at getting some sprouts. But of course, these results are not definitive. If you have a soaking technique, let us know down in the comments below. I know some people like to use hydrogen peroxide diluted with water, but leave a comment down below. We're always curious to hear other ideas on how to germinate faster. Again, check out our video on germinating pepper seeds here, and thanks for watching Pepper Geek.